Welcome to Powered by Her, exploring the stories of how area women power their business. Hear from the growing network of female entrepreneurs of the Upper Cumberland with your host Tiffany Anton, director of Biz Foundry. Powered by Her starts now.
Welcome to Powered by Her. I'm Tiffany Anton in the Hinton Oakley Podcast Center. I have Emma Brown in today for episode 41. Yay! I can't believe that we've gotten this far now. So Emma is a owner of a business, Balloon Works.
Yes.
And we'll talk about what Balloon Works is in a second, but what's super unique about you is that you're really young. I mean,
Yes.
you might not, you're probably like, I'm so old, but I think you're young.
I'm only 17, yeah.
So, I mean, at 17, you think you're old and you're like, I drive, I'm, about to graduate high school, all that kind of stuff. But for old people like me, I feel like that's super young.
Super young.
So do you think about that sometimes? Like, I'm 17 and I own a business.
Sort of, but not really. I've always had, not necessarily plans to open a balloon business, but I've always been very business minded.
Yeah.
So it's not, and so are my parents, so it's not anything.
Yeah, it just
weird.
kind of feels a little natural. So
Yeah.
Balloon Works is a balloon decorating business.
Yes.
And so you kind of do what with the balloons?
I honestly can do anything. I have been asked to do crazy things.
So what this from those people who are old like me, they're kind of like the balloon arches from like 1980, but they're way cooler now.
Yes, and balloon columns and big balloons that have words on them.
And like and like you can take maybe outline and then fill it with balloons of certain things, and so you're just kind of an addition to parties, I guess, maybe.
Right. Yes.
What other things do you kind of work with? So maybe businesses like I've seen kind of stuff like this with grand openings. Or...
Yeah, and like I know I did something for Habitat for Humanity, their birthday party. I have done a couple of things for All Good School, such as like homecoming. I've done Monterey High School homecoming.
And so I mean, you kind of touched on the fact that you are business minded. Were you the type of kid that had the lemonade stand and...
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Do you think that it was because, are you bossy? Do you like
yeah. Yeah.
When mom and dad listen to this, they're like,
yes,
yeah, she is.
She is.
You're the oldest of you have two sisters. And so that kind of, lends itself to that entrepreneur mindset anyway.
Yes.
But so you had a lemonade stand growing up. And do you think it was that you really wanted to make lots of money, or you just kind of like to be bossy and your own boss and probably had like the sisters running around,
Honestly, it was probably both.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, it was definitely both.
Yeah. So were you kind of the type to like want to save lots of money and like,
no,
like I have this goal, or just I want money?
I just wanted money.
Just want money. So what made you, so you just, how long ago did you launch Balloon Works?
Probably about 6 months ago.
6 months, which in the middle of a pandemic, that's super fun. So, you're at these things where people aren't really having birthday parties or, doing things as much. Mm-hmm. And what made you decide, like, this is the time and let's do this?
Yeah, so my mom had made me a balloon arch for one of my birthday parties. And she was like, Emma, this is so easy. You could do this. And it looks so good. And I was like, you know what? You're right. And so then one day somebody texted me and asked if I would make a balloon arch. And my mom was like, this is your opportunity to do this. And I was like, you're right.
Yeah. So what were the steps then to legitimize and make it just a business where you're kind of marketing out to people and you're trying to find customers and clients to work with?
Well, definitely social media. That helps a lot. And that's how I get most of my business. And then it's just people that I know and people, word of mouth, people that have recommended me. Mm-hmm.
So where have you kind of researched into like, where to find the best balloons, or tell me about that process?
Yeah, so there's some other companies that I follow in big cities like Salt Lake City and stuff like that they share what they do, and so I just kind of look where they get their balloons and all of that stuff.
So you found some mentors through the social media network.
Yeah.
And how did you find them in the first place? Just kind of Google like balloon art?
Yeah, and I was just scrolling through Instagram and it popped up and I was like, wow, this is so cool.
Yeah. So you have you taken the steps to actually legitimize and make it, have a separate bank account for your business? And
yeah, I put all of my like balloon money away in savings. So
yeah, and that's, and there's a lot, and we talk about this a lot with entrepreneurs, is that there's a lot more to running a business than just creating balloon arches. Have you kind of, your eyes kind of got big at that? Have you stumbled upon some of those things yet?
Sorta. Like people, well, this isn't really related, but like people sometimes want like different things and have to figure out ways to make it all work in a time crunch. And,
definitely. That's a big part of entrepreneurship and running a business, is trying to manage your time and kind of figuring out, okay, I have to deliver this and knowing your limits, I think sometimes. So have you experienced where people will say, hey, I want this done and I want it tomorrow?
Yes, I have.
And I'm sure.
Or today.
I'm sure that people, first of all, think, well, she's just 17. Like, she's just a kid. Like, she probably can whip this up.
Yeah.
And I'm sure as you, it's hard to take care of yourself and say, no, that's out of my bounds. And that's not necessarily, you're worried about losing customers.
Yeah. I definitely always try to make it work. But if it's sometimes crazy things, then no.
And do you feel guilty in that, or have you kind of worked through that?
I still kind of feel guilty. I work through it, but I still do kind of feel bad because I'm like, I really wish I could, but you need it tomorrow, and I can't. I've already got other things, other balloons to. Yeah,
or a life, or school, or any of the other things that a typical 17-year-old has going on. But when you're trying to build a business, it's just that balance of like, well, what do you make work? What do you not make work? So in the business aspect of things, of trying to figure out marketing and trying to figure out pricing, that's something that that's not just building a balloon arch. No,
it's
to make sure
a
that
lot of work.
Yeah. So where have you found kind of mentorship or guidance in some of that stuff?
Again, my mom really helps me a lot. If I need help doing anything with the balloon, she's right there to help me. And then she tells me what she think would be a fair price and all of that stuff. And then just like other people, like the other companies, like I was talking about.
Yeah, like the people who are doing the balloon business. How do you feel like you can make yourself stand out in the middle of a pandemic, or in a small town? How do you feel like you can get different customers? Or
balloons themselves just stand out. So if people, they're just fun. So I feel like people see that and they're like, oh, who did that?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So to really just word of mouth, social media, all of those things.
Yeah. How have you kind of delved into the marketing of social media? And there's one thing of just like posting, hey, here's a cool picture, or knowing what makes a cool picture.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
So how did you teach yourself or learn those kind of marketing aspects?
Honestly, just watching YouTube videos. I've taken a marketing class at my school, so that kind of helped me. And then just, yeah,
it's really interesting. I am not a YouTuber because I'm old, but I think it's so interesting the amount of stuff that people just watch YouTube videos on, and how much you can learn. Do you think you could have kind of done the whole business aspect of just watching YouTube videos? And
probably, yeah.
It's nice to have mom that can mentor and stuff like that too. But there are so many resources out there for people. What would you say to people who are thinking about starting a business, but, don't really know what to do or how to do it? Or
do it. Yeah. It's hard and it's challenging, but it's worth it in the end. Or not even in the end, but in the middle.
Well, in the beginning.
In the beginning,
and have there been times where you're like, I'm not as into this. Maybe I'll try and kind of pivot and do something else with it.
Yeah, definitely.
And what other ideas do you have? Have you had that?
Like party backdrops and stuff and other things like that. And
so do you like the aspect of creating pretty balloon pieces, or do you like the aspect of being involved in an event?
Honestly, both. Both.
Yeah, you can really. So what is it about the balloons that really that you enjoy doing that part?
I just think that was a starting point, and there's so many other places that you can go from there.
And what do you think? How it just in the balloon world? Where do you want to expand? Balloons. Where do you see that kind of going itself? Of like, besides just making arches, what do you think you could see yourself doing, or within the balloons? I mean, there's some crazy stuff out there.
Yeah, there's all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, that's a hard one.
Well, what kind of cool stuff have you seen in some of your mentors or social media connections that you'd like to try to kind of expand your skills on?
Like huge arches with huge balloons, like hundreds of balloons.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And do you think, I mean, because for something like that, I'm thinking you need supplies like maybe ladders, or you need like a bigger, it's not just, sitting in the basement making.
Oh, no, not at all.
A 6-foot arch.
Yeah.
So do you see yourself expanding into that whole
definitely, yeah.
business?
I would love to.
Yeah. And putting the legitimacy into it as like, okay, I can do all these things. Do you see it expanding outside of this area?
Yeah, I do. I'm moving to college next year, so I would love to take it with me. Part of it with me, at least.
Yeah. Where are you going to school?
The University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa.
Oh, Roll Tide.
Yes, Roll Tide.
I can't believe I just said that, but I'm not an Alabama fan. But I guess I can say it here. So how cool would that be? Just like, college parties of like, kind of adding some elements of fun balloons in there.
Yeah, I think it'd be so fun.
Have you thought of ideas of kind of breaking into that market, and how would you you grew up here, and so you've been here for a while, and so people are like, oh, that's little Emma Brown, like she's from here, we know her, and so then people somewhat probably when you started supported you because you're you,
right? So
how do you think you could break into a new market where you're not Emma Brown anymore? You're just a number that one of these freshmen.
Yes. I don't know. I think that really what makes it stand out. Well, I don't know.
No, I
don't know. I just think that really word of mouth helps a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like if I can get in with some people, it'll just expand a lot, which is what I'm really hoping to do.
Do you think your personality and your kind of customer service is unique to your business?
Yeah, I do. I really do think so.
And what kind of personality traits do you think that you bring to the table?
I'm really fun and bubbly, so I try to make the arches fun and bubbly too. And colorful, and yes, definitely colorful.
And so I think that helps when you're in a new place and you're trying
definitely.
to, like, my dad had told me we were talking about business stuff, and he said the first thing you need to do is sell yourself, and then you need to sell your business, and then the actual product.
Yes.
And so it's really interesting to me. I was like, that really makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. But who you are sells the rest of it. And so if you can put your best foot forward and you can be kind of that relational connection that people need, whether and as they know that you're involved with events, that can be kind of a stepping stone into being involved with other things, and
right.
Developing the business outside of maybe just balloons and balloon arches and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, which I would love to do eventually. Yeah. I think it'd be so fun.
Yeah, and I think it is a fun business.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. So do you think, you said you grew up in a business household. What, as aside from a lemonade stand, as 10-year-old Emma, which was not most of the time, this is like 20, 30 years ago for most people I talk to, but as 10-year-old Emma, 7 years ago, when people said, what do you want to be when you grow up? What was your answer?
Every little girl wants to be a teacher, but
yeah.
Now I don't know.
What is
I always wanted to own a business. Honestly, I really did.
Really?
So
So so my sister and I, when we were little, we used to play office. So we wanted to be a secretary when we grew up. And so it is cool to like when you play business or you have a lemonade stand and see kind of how that all, I've interviewed a lot of people where they said they were like selling fruit snacks on the playground and they were, they got in trouble because they were bringing stuff to sell them at school. And do you have any stories like that?
I don't know if I ever got in trouble, but I definitely took stuff to school to sell. I remember in 8th grade, we did like buy, sell, and trade day, and me and one of my friends made Oreo balls, and we sold out. It was great.
Was this like something sponsored by the school, or you were just on the side?
No, they did that at school, but I'm sure I sold other things.
Yeah.
Like those little loom bracelets, I remember vividly selling those at school.
Yeah, mine. My daughter was selling like yarn bracelets.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, nah, you can't sell stuff because kids are like trying to bring in their lunch money and buy random things. In case you're just joining us, I'm Emma Brown with Balloon Works in the studio today in the Hinton Oakley Podcast Center. So this kind of fell into your lap. You thought you'd always own a business. Were you looking at the time for a way for a business to start? I mean, here you are. Your senior year or the end of your junior year.
No, it's my senior year. I'm a senior this year.
Last year. Yeah. When you started, so it's the end of your junior year, and it's like, hey, you're heading into your senior year. These are probably your toughest classes that you've had. You're applying for colleges. We're in the start of a pandemic. Nobody knows what's going on when you started the business. Did you have reservations, or it was just like, hey, this person called, and so I can make a few extra dollars?
Obviously, I was very nervous because I didn't know like what it was going to look like with the pandemic and everything. But the opportunity really just fell into my lap, and I was
when you start having customers that say, "Hey, can I hire you?" It's like hard to turn that down.
Yeah, definitely.
At any time in the past, so we're a semester through your senior year now. At any time, have you thought, "Man, like this is a lot on my plate"?
Yeah, it does get a lot sometimes, but I just know that I have to do it. I have to get it done.
Where do you get the motivation to keep going? Because I mean, there are a lot of 17-year-olds that are not pushing themselves. They're not running a business on the side. So what pushes you to keep going?
I don't know. I've always been pretty determined. So I just know that I got to do what I got to do. I got to get it done.
Do you feel like there's haters that you're trying to kind of prove wrong at all, or
no,
not necessarily
really.
haters, but like just doubters that like you're 17. What kind of successful business could you run?
Definitely. Yeah, I want to show everybody that I can do it.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of one of those people that I'm like, especially as a female, it's like, don't say girls can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I feel like that, you kind of sense that from you of like, just don't say 17-year-olds can't do this. I can do what I want. So what are you going to major in next year?
I'm thinking pre-law with a minor in real estate.
So not business kind of stuff.
Not really, no.
So do you think you'll always kind of have a side hustle, or what is your plan for those kind of degrees?
See, I would love to be like a real estate lawyer, but also part of me really wants to do this all the time, like party planning and stuff like that. So I definitely want to take some business classes and see.
So let's go and spend lots of money on a degree.
Yes. Don't tell my mom that.
Shh, we won't. We'll keep it between me and you. I do think it's interesting that, do you feel it is interesting at this point in your life that do you think you feel like the pressure that college is just the next step that you have to do, or you really have these goals of attaining a realtor license and a law degree?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't feel pressured at all. College is something I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to go to college. Mm-hmm. So I don't feel pressured to go. Just meet
somebody else's expectations.
Right.
This is something that you are driven. I mean, going to a big university like Alabama is definitely something that is not to be taken lightly. That's a big, huge accomplishment to even be accepted. And congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And so that is interesting because we talk a lot about that in entrepreneurship. Some people feel less than that they don't have a degree, or some people feel like, they're so glad that the aspect of the things that they learned in college and how that developed them into what they are. And And I feel like in today's world, most people will have multiple careers.
Yes. I agree.
So you're kind of starting out real early with owning your own business, and you have this entrepreneurial career, and you can go and do real estate, and you can come back to an entrepreneur career later in life, and even with real estate, there's aspects of that are entrepreneurial as well, themselves. So what do you think is next for Balloon Works? What do you see? So you're gonna try and move the business to Alabama.
Yes.
Do you think that you would try to have somebody kind of take over your customer base here in Cookeville?
Yeah, I definitely would love if my little sisters would be able to.
Do you think that they have that drive and mindset like you do?
Sorta. Sorta. The two of them combined probably could do it.
Would you trust in them enough to?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, and then you're kind of developing them and giving them skills, and maybe we'll have a part 2 of Powered by Her with them, as they rise up the ranks. And in case you're just joining, we're talking with Emma Brown of Balloon Works in the Hinson Oakley Podcast Center. So tell me about a time that, in 6 months, there's got to be, it's not all roses and sunshine and
no, definitely not.
Balloons and butterflies. So have there been any times that have been particularly tough in the business?
Yeah, definitely. One time I made a big balloon for somebody's birthday. It was a 24-inch balloon, helium filled, so it was time sensitive. I had to get it to them.
You also write on the balloons too.
Yes,
That's yeah.
And it had confetti in it. And I was walking out of my house with it, and it popped. Confetti went everywhere. It was insane.
Oh, my gosh.
So thankfully, they were really kind, and they were like, yeah, you can just wing me to whenever.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. So I was able to remake it. But it definitely gives you a little heart attack when that happens.
Well, and again, do you feel more pressure? Do you think you feel pressure that, oh, my gosh, I want people to take me seriously as a business owner?
Yeah, definitely.
And not just think, oh, she's 17. Well, of course she's a kid. She's screwing up.
Yeah.
So do you feel like you kind of put extra pressure?
Yeah, I definitely do.
Yeah. So
definitely.
how do you kind of manage that?
Honestly, I just had to talk myself through it, and I'm like, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna get it done.
Yeah.
You're gonna get it delivered. All of that stuff.
And try and be professional as best you can. It sounds like you've been raised in a great household where you've had those examples of how to deal in business.
Yes.
Have you ever been part of anything like a gender reveal kind of thing or something like that where you're kind of entrusted with almost more high pressure kind of situation where it's like, if this balloon or like a promposal, I guess it's kind of thing or something like that where
Surprisingly, I haven't done a gender reveal yet. I was supposed to, and then Corona messed that one up. But I've definitely done a couple surprise birthdays. I did somebody, I don't remember how old they were turning, maybe 35 or something, and they had never had a birthday party, and it was a surprise party. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's so cool to be, kind of your element was an addition to that.
Yeah.
Do you feel pressure like, oh my gosh, I hope I don't say anything to the wrong person or,
Yeah, you have to don't post it on social media until afterward, all of that stuff.
Yeah, and that it's definitely some pressure that you're not used to, and that in some other business aspects you just don't even think about things like that where it's like you can market what you want to market and not worry about it.
Right, not when it's surprises.
So any advice, aside from just do it, of kind of just getting through some of that, especially for young listeners who might just have a lot of self-doubt and not know where to go for resources? Any suggestions?
Definitely do your research to look for different resources. There's all kinds of things and people out there that can help you make your business really good. And even like around town, I feel like there's definitely someone else that could help you, that would be willing to help you. And
have you found that I think that Cookeville is super awesome collaboratively, that people want to work together, and there are a couple other balloon businesses in town, but it doesn't feel like you're stealing my business or I'm stealing your, there's like, oh yeah, you're another business, let me help you out and let me tell you, some tips and tricks.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool to kind of reach out. I think that I'm just so excited that you're so young and to see where you're going to go and how you can grow this business, and best of luck to you next year. And I really want to see how I follow Emma on social media. So go ahead and tell us your how to get in contact with you.
Yeah, so my Instagram is @BalloonWorks CKVL, and then Facebook is BalloonWorks Cookeville. And you can just get into contact me.
They can slide into your DMs, as the kids say these days. And so is that how people would hire you to do an event, is through those two sources? And so then they can send you a message, hire you to do any of the balloon additions to a party that they want to do. So thank you so much for coming in today, Emma, and being my 41st episode of Powered by Her, and welcome to the Powered by Her family. And thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to Powered by Her. Download your favorites and keep up with new episodes in the Hints and Oakley Podcast Center.